Hello, and welcome back. It's the African Humanist, and I'm back again with this video. But before I start, I want to thank my new subscribers for subscribing and joining us in this conversation. For those of you who are new, may not know, I started this channel because I deconverted from Christianity, and now I'm speaking openly about the evil that religion can do if you allow it, and also just highlighting the very ridiculous things that some religious people believe. So that's what this channel is about, and please join in the conversations. And so let's get into the story of today. This is the story of Victoria Climbie, a young child who was killed because of somebody's religious beliefs. And this is the reason why, as much as I want to agree that religion has good in it, I also need people to understand that religious beliefs can be very toxic, to the point where children lose their lives because of somebody's religious belief. So Victoria Climbie, let's talk about her. Victoria Climbie was born in Abobo, Côte d'Ivoire. Victoria Climbie left the country with her great aunt Marie-Thérèse Kouao, a French citizen who later abused her. They took her from Abobo to France for the purpose of education, and they traveled and arrived in April 1999. It's not known when her auntie Therese started to abuse Victoria, although they suspect that it worsened when Teresa met her partner / boyfriend, Carl Manning. Victoria Climbie was burnt with cigarettes, tied up for periods of longer than 24 hours. She was hit with bike chains, hammers, and wires. Up until her death, the police, the social services, the Department of 4 local authorities, the National Health Service, the National Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Children, the NSPCC, and local churches all had contact with this little girl, and they noted the signs of abuse. However, in what the judge in the trial following Victoria's death described as blinding incompetence by all the people involved in this little girl's case, they all failed to properly investigate the case, and little action was taken. Kouao and Manning were convicted of murder and sentenced to life imprisonment. The good thing that happened after Victoria died was that there was public outcry. The people involved in this case were publicly criticized, and a public inquiry was started by Lord Laming, who ordered that because of the nature of this case, many policies were adopted because of the Victoria Climbie case. This poor child was, It broke my heart then. But I was still a religious person. I was still a Christian when this happened. But then, because I've left religion, and now I look back and start to realize, wow, there were things that were bad in the religion. And so therefore, I want to particularly zero in on the religious aspect, because there were different aspects with this case. There were the social services, there were the staff at the hospital, but I want to zero in on the pastors and the reason why religion can be toxic if it is not checked. And so, in Victoria's case, what happened? The pastor exorcised Victoria. They said the pastor, in connection with her auntie and the boyfriend, Carl Manning, accused Victoria of being a witch. And she was exorcised by this pastor. The pastor admitted that one of her murderers convinced him that the 8-year-old's injuries were the result of demonic possession. Pastor Pascal Orome said Victoria's great auntie, Marie-Thérèse, told him that the girl was incontinent, that she puts excrement into her food, burns herself, and usually makes a mess at home. And this was what he regarded as the evidence that Victoria was possessed. Let me repeat myself. The pastor of the church was told by her auntie that she usually is incontinent, wets herself. She puts her feces in her food, burns herself, and makes mess at home. This is the reason why this pastor agreed with her auntie and said, indeed, this little child is possessed. The pastor, Mr. Orome, said that without even speaking to the girl, he knew that she was coping with hardship when she first came to the church in Barrow, East London, in August 1999. The pastor told the inquiry that he spotted some raw wounds on Victoria's head and saw her hands they were black with scars. However, he did not tell her auntie to visit the doctor because he was too busy with the other members of his church. After the service at the Mission Ensemble Poor Christ Church, oh goodness, the name of the church is the Mission Ensemble Poor Christ Church. Pour, to pour something. Mission Ensemble Poor Christ Church. Ridiculous. The pastor said he went over to Victoria and said a prayer telling her that you are delivered from witchcraft or the wicked spirits that you are carrying. And Kouao said he then praised her. They actually said that this particular man of God is a well-known, praised man of God. He's well recognized as a true prophet. Mr. Orome had been a preacher for 2 years before he met Victoria. And he said of Victoria that it was the first time that he had seen such a problem of evil spirits in a child of 7 or 8. His concern was to deal with spiritual problems through prayers. His church had no guidelines for dealing with child abuse, and he did not believe that her auntie was abusing her although he admitted that it was quite strange that the girl was always poorly dressed in comparison with the smartly attired woman. The pastor said he advised Kouao to leave the home she shared with her boyfriend, Kouao Manning, in Tottenham, North London, after Victoria accused him of sexual abuse. Victoria accused Kouao Manning of sexually abusing her. Her auntie reported the case to the police, but the auntie later on withdrew the sexual abuse case from the police. And the pastor told the auntie, just leave the house. The pastor said, guys, I'm sorry. The pastor said he thought the girl was lying in order to put Kouao Manning in prison and to get her and her auntie a new home. A little girl has said, I've been sexually abused. And now the pastor is advising the auntie to leave the house. He's believing that Victoria is lying to put Kouao Manning in jail. On the day Victoria died, her auntie rang Mr. Orome, the pastor, telling him that she had found a new church in North London where miracles are being performed. She told him that she was taking the girl there for prayers and had been advised that they should fast for 8 days. Another preacher, Pat Mensah, told the Inquiry that the auntie had duped her into thinking she was a good mother to Victoria. Mrs. Mensah, this other preacher, said that she visited the Victoria at home in February 2000 and she noticed a dramatic difference in her appearance from when she first visited the church. Now, the visit came after her auntie told her that Victoria was not eating properly. The preacher said she saw the girl was shivering and she had a burn mark on her arm, which the auntie said was a result of having poured hot water on herself. Mrs. Mensah said that she had no suspicions that Kouao was abusing the little girl. The auntie claimed that she was suffering as the effects of being possessed by an evil spirit. At some point, Victoria had severe burns all over her, and when she was taken to the hospital, staff at the hospital saw this and asked what happened to her. The auntie said she had scabies and they poured hot water on her to prevent her from scratching. Social services were supposed to go and see Victoria at home, but when they heard about scabies, they decided, no, we can't go, we can't put ourselves at risk, and they didn't go to the appointment. Maybe if they had gone, they would have saved the life of that little girl. But a lot of things were missed, and sadly, the beautiful Victoria, she lost her life. I'm passionate about this because little children don't need to go through this. Your religious beliefs can be toxic when you believe that there are spirits controlling and we need to get rid of spirits. And when you now start thinking that children are carriers of an evil spirit. That's why I do what I do. I need to, highlight the evils of religion and religious beliefs. In Africa, a pastor can tell a member, look, we think that your child has evil spirits. But who is going to tell us whether indeed these things actually exist? Who is going to tell us whether there is anything outside of the realm where we're at? Nobody knows. People talk about going to hell and going to heaven. Who has been yonder and come back to tell the tale? Nobody. Nobody has been yonder and lived to tell the tale. But somehow they tell you all these stories in your church. Tell you all these stories. There's hell and there's heaven and there's all these things. Who's been to go and see what these places look like? Who knows what evil spirits look like? And now you accuse little children. Kouao Manning and Therese were sentenced to life imprisonment, and I hope they rot in jail for what they did to that, especially that Kouao Manning, sexually abusing. Come on, people. At some point you need to understand that religion can make you start thinking that there are things that aren't even there. And that's why I do what I do. And so this is the case of Victoria Climbie. I had to highlight the evils of religion, especially to children. Keep your children away from these dangerous beliefs. At least let them get to an age where they can decide what's right and what's wrong before you introduce all these fairy tales and make-believe stories to them. You've been told about a person called Jesus Christ 2,000 years ago. What is your evidence that that person existed? Where is the evidence? You believe because a book tells you, and now you are feeding this thing to children to the point that children are losing their lives. The pastor saw this girl in the state that she was in, but rather than do anything, he said he was too busy attending to other members of the church. I bet he was busy attending to the people who came with money, because some reason God always needs money. And so a case of a little girl doesn't concern him at all. It's just crazy what goes on in some religious organizations. And so we need to highlight these. Spare a child's life. I'm getting very passionate and emotional about this, but poor, sad, and just please let me know what you think about this case. I'll be back again, and join me on my next video. If you're not subscribed, please do subscribe. If you want to share the videos, please share and let us chat about it. I'm also passionate about people who have left religion, whatever religion that is. If you would like to have a conversation with me about leaving religion, how you made your way out, what was it that you saw that made you leave religion, please hit me up on my email and let us have a conversation about religion. We need to wake people up and make people open their eyes to see. Thank you very much. I'm the African Humanist, and I'll be back again.